stage for my dear friend and a climate mobility researcher from Ghana. He's an active researcher in the field of urban mobilities and smart cities. So I welcome you to the stage and showcase your learnings.
Thank you very much. It's actually coincidental that at the beginning of our fellowship stay in Bonn, we had a lot of conversations regarding this topic, and you're the one to introduce me. So yeah. So good afternoon and welcome from the sleepy break. I'm presenting on the topic enhancing mobility as a climate mitigation strategy, and I'm looking at my university, which is the University of Cape Coast in Ghana. And it's actually a comparative study with my host institution, which is the University of Kassel. I chose Kassel for this study simply because the cities of Kassel and the cities of Cape Coast have about 200,000 people in terms of population. They have some educational similarities, being that they all have universities in them. Also, they are homes to UNESCO World Heritage Sites, like the Cape Coast Castle, which is known for its story when it comes to slavery, the transatlantic slave trade. And then Castle has the Hercules Park, which is the Wasserspiel you should all visit someday. So it gives a very good grounds for comparing the two, also given that Castle has put in some efforts in making sure that they kind of reduce carbon emissions on campus. But this is not just their effort, there's that strong collaboration between Castle and the city of Kassel itself. So what this study aims to do is, what can the University of Cape Coast do? And then how can they also impact, or whatever they do, impact the city of Kassel, the city of Cape Coast, given that but studies have shown that universities have the potential of leading this charge towards sustainable mobility. Also given that universities in Ghana are a bit autonomous in running their administrative system, so if they want to go sustainable, full-scale sustainability, they can do it. So if Castle is doing it, what are the lessons Cape Coast can do? So yes, the aim of the research is to explore the carbon mitigation strategies implemented in the city of Kassel and the University of Kassel, and then assess the potential for these strategies to be applied or to the city of Cape Coast and the University of Cape Coast. So it's not, I think this morning someone made a mention of copy and paste. It's not a copy and paste thing because I saw it here, we have to do it. I had to look at whether people are actually ready for it to, like, do they have an idea of what climate change is? Do they know the consequences of their travel mode choices and all that? So the objective of this study was to assess the impact of students' knowledge and appreciation of climate change issues and their perception on sustainable mobility. Given that if you understand what climate change is and you know the impacts, you are able to adjust your lifestyle to. But if you have no idea and you are very ignorant, you really don't care what it is. Assess university students on the university's climate initiative. So I came across a report by the University of Cape Coast where it talks about every initiative that's done from SDG 1 to 13, whatever. And the report wasn't, sorry to say, but it lacked some level of in-depthness you expect from a university, right? So I wanted to be sure if students even knew about some of these things the report has stated. And then recommend strategies for using mobility as a climate mitigation tool. Using mobility is a very low-hanging fruit because each day everyone moves from one place to the other for lectures, either as a student or as a staff. But this study focused on students primarily because they make up the greater population of the university. Just my population size for the study, which was regular and part-time students across all levels of the, let's say from level 100 to PhD, the population size was 27,000. And this is excluding the distance learners and all that. So you can tell how big the university's population is. So coming to the sampling, out of that population, I was able to get 484 students to respond to my survey. And I also had participatory observation in Kassel, given I had to participate in a few sustainability initiatives, also to see what the city is doing and how we can do it also. I'm also an event planner, as some of you may know. So it gave ideas for how we could use events, for instance, to push the sustainability agenda. Yeah, so we used the perception survey with questionnaires, and then I did some literature review. So what were my findings? In UniCassel, I realized that UniCassel has a dedicated institution for sustainability. And what it does is its programs, or its draws out programs, study programs on sustainability. So there are a lot of courses that are taught regarding to sustainability, and it's the Kassel Institute of Sustainability that does that. The SDG Lab bridges the university and the city. So in terms of sustainable business ideas, how do we enhance collaboration, what is the University of Kassel doing sustainably, that is what the SDG Lab does. This is a picture of, oh no, I didn't bring it, but this one was organized in the SDG Lab, so I'll come to that. The university, I realized there were university-wide inclusive events on sustainability. Given it wasn't just students, lecturers were involved, and I can give one example outside mobility, which was a cleanup exercise they did on campus, where they had to collect all sorts of rubbish and they grouped them. And the interesting bit was they did an analysis of the type of rubbish that is produced the most on the university's campus, and came out with recommendations for how to deal with such like trash. Okay, so it was quite interesting. But for mobility, there is the Kassler Radwalker, and that was my first assignment when I went to Kassel. Like we were supposed to start work on 1st April, and I got to Kassel and I was put in there work. And this was a very interesting event because then you could see what students were doing with regards to sustainability, urban planning, bicycle, like some had projects on bicycle parking lots, others came to present on maybe a bicycle tour they did from, I think, Ghana to Turkey, from Germany to Turkey. It was a whole like cycling event. And there were a lot of experiences, there were lectures, there were personal experiences business-wise. And it was through this event I got my bicycle for 30 euros. So imagine coming to Germany and getting a bicycle for 30 euros. You would be happy to cycle because it's quite cheap. So yes, it's Cycastle, and it's quite a nice collaboration between my department and the Department of Sports. Is it sports? I forgot about physical education, kind of like, yeah. Then there's a restriction of vehicles on campus. So not that there are no vehicles, but you can barely count the number of vehicles on campus. Also, our campus is not too big, also, but you can barely count the number of vehicles on campus. And I think recently the university president sent emails where there are some imposing fees based on the type of vehicle you bring to campus or you have. It's also to reduce this whole car stuff. But as you can't put in preventive measures without giving incentives or putting in place measures to encourage people to make use of public transport and the rest. So within the state of Hessen, of which Kassel is part, there is Hessen tickets for university staff. And this Hessen tickets allows you, I think it's for the semester also, I'm so not sure of that. It allows you to like join any public transport within the Hessen state, so the MVFA, KFAJ, and then the others. So it gives you that. This is my pass actually. And for the students, there are initiatives like the next bike, where you could rent a bicycle for 1 hour, the first 1 hour, and then any minute after that is like charged. So for some of us, what we do is we rent, especially if we are riding for long, we rent for about 55 minutes, and then we stop. And because I can't rent the same bike within a short period, I would rent my friend's own, and then he will rent mine, and then we continue. And so that 1 hour is free, another 1 hour is free, and then we keep swiping, like changing it. Which was, I mean, it's made me cycle a lot, and I think for someone like me who doesn't really visit the gym, cycling a lot has helped me like keep in shape, kind of, and it's also helped me health-wise. And I realized because I cycle a lot, I tend to be more productive, or I became more productive at work. Also, I was very active. So yes, this is somewhere near my office, and this is the front of the university with a scooter and yeah, the bicycles and more. So these are the things, some of the things I found Kassel is doing. Now, from my survey I did, this is the University of Cape Coast. You could see the vast difference, like so many cars parked in front of our main library, right? This is Kassel, like you really don't see any vehicle yet. But yeah, this is University of Cape Coast. And from my findings, I realized students did have a good appreciation of climate change issues. However, they felt climate change wasn't so much of an importance because they felt there were other important issues on campus to be solved. And I kind of agree with them because the university is facing like housing issues for students. So you come to level 100, and then your second year to final year, you have to look for private residences. Also, they are dealing with water crisis sometimes. I don't know if it's changed now, but yes. So, yes, climate change is happening. I appreciate climate change is happening, but I mean, I feel there are more important things to make me feel better on campus before I think of climate change. So, that's what I found. Then I ran a factor analysis on my survey where I realized that students, the sustainable mode choice on campus, for them to be able to make use of sustainable mode choices like walking and cycling, infrastructure, and knowledge of the social benefits of walking and cycling played a very crucial role in this. And from my data, I was able to sort out those who used motorized transport against those who used non-motorized transport. And this was really strong per the chi-square test. This was really strong among non-motorized users who said that if you give us necessary infrastructure and all that, we would walk. The social benefits being that if my friends are walking, I would also love to walk. You know, if they are cycling, I would love to cycle. If I know a lecturer lecturers are known to have money, so they say. So if I know a lecturer who can afford a car, but the person is working, why not? Like, then I can also work, you know, that kind of thing. Then I asked the students, would you love to see the University of Cape Coast become a model of sustainability, you know, in Ghana? And majority of them said yes. I would love the university to, in terms of sustainable mobility, I'd love the university to be a model for national implementation. So then, the university management, and this comes up to my in my recommendations, that it's time the university management takes advantage of the support it has from the students to be able to implement changes that will make it more sustainable in terms of its mobility. Then there was the demand from students for the university to scale up its climate education and some of its initiatives. So majority of the students said they either were not aware of some of the initiatives the university says is taking, or they might have heard of it, but they weren't part of it, which caused cause for concern. So then who are those participating in it? Is it just the administration or just the student leadership? So there is the need for an all-inclusive type of approach towards climate education and its initiatives. And then, like I said, there was also the gap between the university's climate actions and then the awareness. And one climate action they are doing is, we have this thing in Ghana called the Green Ghana Day, where you plant so many trees and you go for free seedlings of plants, and then you plant them in your offices or wherever, just as a form of reforestation attempt. So that is what was more popular amongst the students from the responses I got. But then there are more actions the university could take. So, but the students weren't really well informed about what the university said they were doing. So there was a need for them to increase students' awareness and participation in these initiatives. So my policy recommendations, I think there should be a push and pull strategy. And in this case, being that I couldn't speak to university lecturers who are the users of the cars, because they use the cars the most. But then, given the methods employed by the University of Kassel, I think the University of Cape Coast could put in the same thing, where you don't just ban or restrict the use of, let's say, vehicles or motorized vehicles on campus, but you also provide the incentives for people to go on more sustainable, clean, green energy form of mobility. Then there's the need to enhance implementation of climate actions through events. Like I said, Kassel has the Castle. It also has other events it does on SDGs. And it needs to improve its communication also. And through that, they'll be able to encourage students to partake in some of these climate initiatives and through incentivization. So maybe there is a climate initiative happening on campus. If you take part in it, maybe you get maybe a discount or 100 CDs reduction on your fees or something, like something to encourage students to be more sustainable, not just in mobility, but sustainability in general. Then Castle and Cape Coast should enhance their collaboration. My first approach towards my first interaction with the University of Kassel was through an event we organized on sustainable mobility. And I think given that the two universities can enhance that, also given they also have an Erasmus partnership, especially between departments. And then there's a need for a specialized directorate or unit within the university, also of Cape Coast, just like Castle is doing. For science and research recommendations, these are my recommendations. We will talk about this later as part of the questions. And my journey so far, a lot of picture of bicycles from Kassel to Paris to Brussels, everywhere. That's my team that made me settle in safely. And yes, thank you.